Hello everyone, welcome back to the Joe Blow podcast.
Okay, welcome back to Joe Blow.
Mine was way better.
Will you do it? Go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back. Actually, no, not boys and girls. Let's start again.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Joe Blow podcast. We have your host, Tommy.
Woo! And today on the show, we have Chloe Mascord. Chloe is an intimacy expert.
That's better.
No longer a sex expert.
Sex therapist, you said. Therapy sounds quite clinical.
We're up in the Sunshine Coast. Joe Blow travels. Last week I was down in Burleigh doing a podcast.
We could go international.
Chloe Mascord, where'd we meet? It's normally me telling the story. Can you tell the story for me?
So, I think we're going back 2 years ago. I went to the Stephen Bartlett show, and being a big fan of Stephen Bartlett, I purchased a VIP pass, as did our lovely friend Tommy. And we both met lining up for the VIP experience to go in and meet Mr. Stephen Bartlett. And I saw yourself standing there with your boss top on, I'm pretty sure.
Stephen noticed that as
with
well.
With all your friends. Both of us went their solo mission.
Yes.
And we got chatting to a couple of other people as well in the line. We were kind of all...
His name was Tom as well.
It was, yeah.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, he was.
And there was a girl that was giving him a book that was like...
700 pages long.
She wanted him to interview this guy.
Yeah.
Was it religious?
I think you made that up.
Sounds good. It was about Christ and the third coming.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And then I had a good old chat to Mr. Stephen Bartlett and utilised my experience, unlike yourself.
You were there for so long, and I thought,
put some mayo on it.
So long, the queue was banking up, and everyone was going, and you were just, I think you were chatting him up, really.
I wanted to draw as much value out of that man as possible. Do you blame me though?
What did he ask you?
No, I asked him. It was just around overcoming potential blocks on social media because of the content that I post.
That's right, I remember, because you kept getting cut from Instagram because you were posting.
Well, a lot of other people in the space had been. I hadn't yet, but I was just trying to work out a way to be able to share content without getting shadow banned. So I was just seeing what his thoughts were around that. And then we just got chatting. He was asking me what I do and how much content I post and holding me accountable for consistency, which is...
Did he follow you?
I wish.
Followed me.
Lie.
I'll show you. You want me to? Oh, we haven't got time, but I'd show you after the podcast. There's two things I've always wanted to ask you, and they've always slipped off the radar.
Oh.
Always. And it's the most obvious question ever. Maybe that's why I didn't ask it.
Okay.
But it's sort of intertwined with other things. Mm-hmm. Jeez, I like this pen. I feel very pro. Stephen? I'm coming for you. So can you take me back to Chloe, 15, 16, 17, 18? Let's go with 15 or 16.
Okay, that's better.
Like, is she different to the person that sits here now? Or is she... And, like, what did she want to do with her life? What were her goals? What was she like as a person? Was she partying, dancing? What did she dress like? What did she look like? Did she look like this person, or is this an evolution of a different person?
So back when I was 15, obviously still in school, that's when I really started to come out of my shell, I think. I definitely I don't think I was overly confident at 15, 16. I don't know many people that are. But I started to get a little bit of attention. And I think from that point onwards, I really harnessed that rebellion nature in me, which much to my parents' dismay, in particular my mum. And I think when I was 16, that's when I started to sneak out and go in cars with boys who were considerably older at that point, which I look back and I'm like,
What's considerably older?
Well, probably 18.
Oh, that's all. I thought you were talking 30-year-old.
No.
Like sugar daddy.
But 18 to 15, I mean...
That's not much.
It's legal versus illegal.
If you're having sex.
Yeah, well, that's true.
If you're just kissing, it's okay. What do you mean? Can you take me one step back there? You said Chloe started to get a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think at school, well, when I first joined that particular high school, a lot of the kids had been to primary schools and knew each other. I'd come from a different area and I didn't know anyone. So I was really very quiet and kept to myself in the first kind of half of year 8. And then from there, I really started to hang out with the same group again and again because I was trying to find my feet, I guess, for the first half of year 8 and maybe even the whole of year 8. And then from there, I found that I got along really well with the guys, but I think it was more of a friendly thing. And then as you start to mature, the guys would kind of make comments that were regarding my physical appearance. And so I was like...
So what sort of comments? Like,
well,
you're hot?
Yeah, I guess in that respect, but also like, you have a great body, show it off. And I was like, initially a bit weirded out by that, but then I kind of ran with it. And I guess that's kind of set the foundation as a teenage girl. It's not great because your value in the world is based on validation from the opposite sex, which didn't really pave the way well for me. Even though it was like, oh yeah, I'm getting attention, it also then posed my value on my looks. And then from there, when I realized that was like my way of, for, my early teens and 20s, that was my way of like getting essentially being in control or feeling like I had control. It was because of your physical appearance, which is also not great.
So you weren't the nerd at school, the intelligent, smart bookworm. You were the cheerleader type. Is that what you're saying? Or
it's interesting because when I first started in high school, I didn't really have a group to hang out with. So I kind of just fell into whatever group there was, which was like a mixed match of like all different people. And then I think as time went on, because I loved banter and I was a bit cheeky and I had a few different facets, I think then the more popular people kind of drew me in, which was quite interesting. But I got along with everyone in high school. And I think because I started out in a certain group and then kind of went to another group, I found that I got along with everyone pretty well. But I definitely ended up being caught up in that kind of like popular group.
So when did Chloe lose her virginity?
16 and a half.
16 and a half?
Yeah.
How old was the guy? Are we going somewhere with this?
Yeah. Well, he was... Shout out.
Shout out to Kevin from Gympie High School. Shout out to Kev.
I actually, when I was
younger... How much older?
I reckon, let me do my math, I reckon he was probably 19.
How come you didn't say you were 16? Why did you go with the 16 and a half?
I don't know. I just
to show you're really, really legal.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that was it. I think it was just when I remember a date, because I'm normally forget dates and times and years and those kind of things. So when I remember something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more specific. He would have been probably 19.
That's all right. I keep thinking when you're going to say old, it's like, he's 32.
I know, but I can't. Yeah, no, it was good. I'm glad that it was somebody that I knew prior to that. It was like a friend's
Was
cousin.
It a relationship or was it just a little bang bang?
No, it was a relationship of some description. But I think in my head maybe it was more than what it was.
Was that your...
So
you were just dying to... That was it. 16 and a half, you thought this is the guy, just rolled with it.
Well, no, I always kind of went for older guys when I was in school. So I wasn't really, like I had a few crushes on guys my age in school, but I tend to go for the older guys. So like 1 or 2 years older and then obviously then older than that as well, which is quite funny because then after that, when I left school, I actually tended to go for guys younger. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So you're a roller coaster then, because
yeah, I don't have like a preference.
Even into today's world, you've gone older.
12 years previous to this relationship.
And then you've flipped right back, and now you've got someone younger.
8 years younger.
So your current boyfriend's 19. You were saying.
Well, how old does that make me then? Great.
26.
Yeah, something like that. 27.
So okay, so when Chloe leaves school.
Yeah.
In her final year, what is she studying to do?
Yeah, look, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I think I didn't really have a lot of drive to attend school. I think because I didn't know what direction I was going to go. So I was one of those kids that would wag school quite a lot and then forge my notes from my parents. So in that respect, I was a bit of quite rebellious, but I just was like not interested. And I think now I realize it was just, I didn't like being in classes when I didn't have any interest in what I was learning. So I think this is, I don't want to label ADHD, but I just had no interest in learning things that didn't actually excite me. But if it was something I was interested in, like I could fully focus. So my preference was to not attend at all.
Was there anything you're interested in apart from older guys?
Wow, this is under the microscope. Look, I think more creative things, funnily enough, like photography I quite liked, media I didn't mind.
But
cooking,
nothing in terms...
home ec, which is funny because I love cooking now. I loved all those, and PE, which I love fitness now.
Yeah, okay.
So
you're not an academic
no.
by any stretch?
No, it has to be some level of creative. So in the business world now, I love business, but the creative parts of business, not the boring, spreadsheets and systems and processes. I can do it, but it's not my preference. I like to come up with ideas.
So it sounds like your parents weren't very strict with you.
Weren't?
No, they weren't.
I guess my mum probably tried to be.
Did they have an idea of what they wanted you to do? What do they do, mum and dad?
So mum works for the wildlife parks. So she's very much a green thumb, loves nature. She's done a whole range of different things. She's been in the travel industry, which is probably where I got my background in travel and working for Virgin Australia and exploring the world. And then dad, who is no longer with us, he had his own business in cabinet making and carpentry, and he always did that. And so he ran his own businesses doing that.
So they don't sound like the parents that are really going to push you to university.
No.
So you didn't have to really study hard and...
Look, my mum definitely pushed. She wanted me to go to uni and follow that process. But I think that also came from like her parents, who were pretty straighty 180. But look, she tried.
And what,
Chloe, she still does now.
Chloe rebelled, did she?
Yeah, definitely. I always loved taboo conversations. I'm always, if you could describe me in one word, it would be curious. Always want to learn, always want to understand things, the way, like why.
Where does that come from?
I actually think it might be from being an only child. I think, you don't have another sibling around to really play with, so I don't know. I think it's also probably something I'm just born with. I think it's just a trait.
I wonder if the ADHD, a lot of stuff you talk about similar to myself, and I've always wondered. I ask these questions because I'm like,
I've not been diagnosed, but it's definitely something that's been percolating around in the last 6 months that I think...
Everyone's got it, haven't they?
I know, and that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to say that, because I'm just like, oh gosh, here we go. But I do definitely resonate with that, and I find it very energy draining to focus on certain topics and certain things. And I find that I'm always looking for it's the shiny object syndrome. So yeah, I think it's the curiosity. I like things that are interesting. I like to learn from asking questions and experiences in particular.
So what did Chloe want to do when she left school?
So I always loved animals. Growing up, I always had pets. So at my mum's house and my dad's house. And I was lucky that my dad had quite a bit of space because he ran his business from the back of his house. So there was always a lot of space to keep animals. And so he would take care of the animals. I'd go there every second weekend and one day a week after school. And he would take care of the animals too. But both my parents loved animals as well. So I think that's probably where it came from.
So that was it?
Yeah. It was always going to be something in the space of animals. And I wanted to be a vet, but in order to get into veterinary science, there was no direct qualification. I think you had to go and do science or get a 99.8 or something. I'm not sure if it worked the same. I grew up in Adelaide, so the scoring system may have been slightly different, but I I didn't have enough drive in school to get the grades to then go and do it. So my other option was to do science for 2 years, get high grades, and then transfer into veterinary science. And it just felt too academic. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And I decided to be a vet nurse.
Really?
So I studied that and then worked as a vet nurse. Maybe I was doing it maybe part-time casual for like 6 months and finishing my qualification at the same time. But I loved it. I was so deeply passionate about animals and love them even to this day. And the only reason I really left that space was because I was way too emotionally invested. And even now, I can't even watch a bloody movie without bawling my eyes out. So I would have had to have switched that emotion off inside of me, and I just was not prepared to do that. So it was just one of those things where I tried it. I loved it. I worked for some amazing people. And then I had other things that I wanted to pursue.
Like?
Being a flight attendant for Virgin Australia.
What was the...
I think it was the brand. It was the experience of seeing the world and meeting lots of people, that curiosity. It was like definitely going to fix that curiosity drive, but also the brand itself, which is quite interesting now being in business. How that brand was like, I put that brand on a pedestal as being like really fun and really cheeky and really exciting and progressive and doing things differently and I guess drawing outside the lines a little bit. So for me, that matched my personality. It was like professional and polished, but also really edgy and fun.
I remember I worked for Aussie as a strategy analyst building their broker model that's out today, and we looked at all different models, and we met with Virgin Mobile back then, and we went to their offices, and it was just so cool.
So cool.
We go in the boardroom, it's all beanbags.
Yeah, so much
here's
fun.
me in a suit and tie, like the old days, fake it till you make it. They're in
Yeah.
they're dressed like this, they're in jeans, t-shirts, and I thought, what a cool brand. I'd come here to work just to clean the toilets.
So much fun.
And then remember Virgin Money came to Australia and he drove the tank over Sydney Harbour Bridge. Like it was, back then it was just such a cool, sexy brand. And it's still not bad now, but it just doesn't have the power that it used to have.
No.
It's like a phenomenal brand. So you jump on planes, you fly around everywhere, and you get sick of that? Or is there something... you met a man.
I had...
Don't say many.
I wasn't going to say many.
I
I did it single and I had partners. So
How does that work?
I was there for like 7 years.
Oh, okay.
So I was there for a long time. So I was in the airline industry for a long time, almost 10 years, but I was at Virgin for like 7 years.
What's that, from 23 to 30?
Yeah, I think around that. That makes sense.
That's a long time.
It is. That's became part of my life. And I think the reason I had jumped around from job to job all the time prior to that. So for me to stay in a job for that long was like a miracle. And I think it was because of how constantly changing the job was, like new passengers every day, new destinations, new challenges. You always had to problem solve on your feet. There was a lot of, you had to fix things with very minimal ways to do it, and I love that. It's like when you have like 3 items left in your fridge and you're like, I've got to make dinner. For me, I'm like, yes. It's like this problem that seems like you can't resolve it, but with the minimal things that you have to create something out of nothing, I loved that challenge. And so for me to be able to do that on a day-to-day basis where I was being tested a little bit every day, even though it seemed so the same.
It looks like that as a passenger.
Absolutely.
It looks like boring.
But you're always being challenged. Like there would be lots of medical emergencies. There would be people not rocking up on time, like your crew. There would be weather problems. There would be delayed flights.
What's the club called where we have sex in the toilets?
The Mile High Club.
Yeah. Are you a member?
No comment.
No comment. That's always a yes. Okay, that's a yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. She's a member. How many times? Were you a member of the club? Just once? Okay. No. Did you... Well, I figure this is a conversation about intimacy, and people get intimate on planes. So you were saying there's a lot of emergencies. Do you catch people in the toilets?
Well, I did a lot of domestic flights, so
Not enough time.
Not enough time. You're quite under the pump.
I did literally.
Literally, it was just in Australia. I did a couple of Bali and Fiji flights, but I definitely opted not to do those. I would rather do my work as being short, sharp, quick flights because the days would go quick, and then save the long haul travel for my holidays.
So
the answer is no. I didn't really catch anyone. And if I did and they could get away with it without other people complaining, I probably would have just let them do it. Good on you.
I can't work out. I'm not a member.
You're devastated.
Anyone out there wants to get a membership with Boss Joe Blow and Boss, I'm up for it. But I'm trying to work out how it works before we move on. How does it work? Do people... You're not allowed to talk about it. My brother's a pilot for Cathay Pacific, and there's so many stories that they can't talk about.
Well, I mean...
Because I only heard from someone else the other day who's also a pilot that Qantas have had issues, but you just don't hear about them.
What are the issues?
Like flying issues, almost crashing and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think for there... I really don't think in Australia there's too much to worry about with...
No.
The safety of the aircrafts. Like, it is top-notch.
There you go. Top-notch sex and intimacy podcast. We're talking about airline safety. We did. So tell me, to get back onto the path, I've never asked you this. This is the one question I've never asked. It's not a bad one. How do you get into sex and intimacy, relationship, dating, therapy from where we're heading? We've gone from airline safety to helping people with their intimacy.
Yeah, good question. So I guess I'd tried a few different directions in my career, and I realised that I'd got to a point where I wasn't exactly sure what was next for Chloe, or what was really just aligned with my authenticity. And I think with the flying, that was like sparking my interest and like that curiosity and keeping me that dopamine hit of excitement, because there was always stuff going on and I was always having a think on my feet. But when I peeled back the layers, I was like, who am I at my authentic core? And when I think I was, how old am I now? I would have been mid-30s, early to mid-30s, where I just got to a point where I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do now moving forward. And I was just doing some events planning and kind of bits and bobs of work that I really just didn't want to do. But I consciously decided that I was going to create some space in my life to really explore who I was, what I liked, and what I'm good at, and then see what actually came from that. And so when I peeled back the layers and worked out that I love a taboo conversation, and I love to have conversations that tested the boundaries, and I like to talk about relationships, and I love to talk about the edgy topics. I think when I started to identify that was who I am at my core, I thought, well, why not me? Why shouldn't I be the person that has that conversation and creates a really safe space to do it? Because my friends would say to me, I feel like I can open up really easily to you and talk about things that I probably wouldn't be able to talk about with other people. And I thought, well, that's a good skill to have, to be able to create safety and security for people to have really awkward or uncomfortable conversations in normal day-to-day life. So I guess when I started to realise what that was leading me to, I explored what that actually looked like as a career, and I explored the opportunity to be a sexologist or a psychologist or something along those lines. And I realised that it's more problem solution focused. So it's like people have challenges in that space and they want to fix to it, not an opportunity to have a deeper, more connected, more satisfying, more fulfilling life, which is where the coaching place came in. So I could have gone down the path of studying psychology or sexology, but I simply didn't want it to be problem solution. I wanted it to be like up leveling from here. How do I have a deeper connection, a better relationship, more intimacy, more desire in my relationship dynamics?
So do you think your relationship world has to be perfect to be able to help others?
Yeah, that's
or do
a
you
good
think
question.
you're evolving like everyone
Yeah, I
else
put
is?
a lot of pressure on myself, and I think you probably are the same. Like, it depends what area of business you're in or what career you're in. If you are an expert or somebody that is qualified in a certain area, you put the pressure on yourself to ensure that you are the best you can possibly be in that space. And I know that's hard on my partner, because I guess it's like, if you are sitting there supporting people in their intimate life and there's maybe something going on in your intimate life, there's this part of feeling like a bit of a fraud. And I went through a really interesting, when I first started out as a sex coach for women, I'd never, ever, ever had an issue with libido, ever. And I went through a period during my previous relationship to this one where I was engaged, and I lost my libido, which is when I actually was.
And you're in the middle of
and I was an
telling
intimacy
everyone else.
coach, and
Yeah.
that was like the beginning part of my career, and I was like, what the hell? And I felt like a complete fraud. I felt like, well, who am I to sit here and support other people to embody desire and sex and that sexual side of themselves and deeper connection when I wasn't feeling it?
I've got like 1,000 questions.
Sure.
I need to write them down, but my pen's, I don't know how to use it. Okay, let's start with, I've got 3 big questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget them. When I said I was going to have you on the show, someone said to me, a mate of mine, I said, I'm having Chloe on the show, this is what she does. And he said to me, fuck, can you imagine being
Her partner?
her partner? She'd be up to some kinky shit. They were the exact words. Now, I don't want to go down that avenue, but it was interesting I can see, for everyone, that's a lot of pressure. I would think if I was dating you, I'm just better be a fucking god in bed, and I better be up to like, I am, for anyone out
Shut
there,
up.
I am a god in bed. 1-300 God. No, so I'm not going to go down that avenue whether you are or not, but do you think your partners are stressed or under pressure? Like, do they feel like they have to ultra perform or be very open, or are they being analysed somehow?
Yeah, they're probably being analysed more in the relationship than the sexual part.
Yeah, in terms of them delivering in a relationship, the intimacy,
Yeah.
like, are you pushing, we've got to have one date a week and
Yeah.
we've got to do this and we've got to do that.
And that's something I'm working on at the moment, is because, yes, but that's coming from a place of like, I want longevity for this relationship, and I can see how the wheels can fall off very easily. You get into bad patterns, you get into bad habits. And if you don't put the effort and time into your relationship, the wheels can fall off, right? And I think because I've seen it happen so many times, it's more coming from a place of like, I don't want to go down that path. So I would put more pressure on the situation in the current just to make sure that it doesn't go down that path. But if you're talking about like the sexual part, what's interesting? I'm just trying to think of my intimate situations since being in this place in my career. And I really don't think anyone that I've been intimate with, and it's not that many, to be honest, because I was in a relationship for long term and I was single for a bit, and then now I'm in a relationship. I don't think, as far as I know, and I even asked my partner this, feel pressure for performance and to be like a god in bed. No. And I don't know if that's how I come across, or whether or not it's like certainty within themselves, or maybe not even thinking really about that.
So how does someone in your field lose libido? Was that relationship based, or the other individual, or do you dive so deep into yourself being in this career that you can sort of...
Well, I was
yourself in a hole?
thinking it could have been so many different things. I thought maybe because I'm doing this for work, it feels like work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm talking about
Like
sex
an
and
escort?
intimacy. Like what?
I just wonder if escorts are like that.
Well, you would
know
think
what I
so. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like OnlyFans. It's the same.
We'll get there.
Okay. We can talk about. I mean, I don't know, but
No,
sure.
so how do you lose your libido, and how do you get out of it?
So I was confused for a long time. I didn't know what was going on. I immediately went, and this is what a lot of women can relate to, and this is why when I was working with women, I still do, but when I was just working with women, I was often getting women come to me who had low libido, is because I could relate to it. So they would come to me and say there's something wrong with me. And so I went down all the paths. I think I went physical first. I thought there was like a deficiency, like a vitamin deficiency, or there was something wrong with my diet, or, that I was the problem. And then when I realized that there was really nothing hormonally wrong with me, that I realized that it was actually unresolved conflict in the relationship paired with me not feeling stable and secure in the relationship.
So are you in this relationship just going, I don't want to get intimate, I have no interest?
It was,
or you're forcing yourself?
I didn't want to, no.
You didn't want to, but you knew you sort of had to because you're in a relationship. So are you
I didn't know I had
yourself
to be for a relationship.
To deliver?
This will be really controversial. I didn't think that I had to have sex with my partner because I was in a relationship. I felt like I had to because of my career.
Wow.
But I was like, I just didn't have the desire. I think there was just situations with conflict in the relationship where I think at some point, and I know many guys can relate to this, and even, now with my partner, if we have a disagreement, he struggles to want to be intimate after. Some people it's actually a turn on, some people it's not. But I guess I got to one point where I was just like, I just don't want to be intimate with this person because things have been said that can't be taken back. And I was just like, it kind of started to make me not really feel connected to that person anymore.
So, but just take me back to where you said you had to because of your career. Did you feel like, well, if I'm in a relationship and I'm not having intimate, not having sex...
Yeah, it was incongruent.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll be transparent, it was fucking said to me too. It was said, I was told by my partner at the time, you are not being congruent.
So you're, in a way, you're getting forced to have sex.
In a really fucked up way.
For how long?
I think that went on for probably 9 months.
How do you feel looking back in the career that you're in, that you were in that situation and didn't get out of it early enough?
Yeah, I think, like, how do I feel about that version of me, or how do I feel about the situation?
If you could go back and be a different Chloe then, what would you have done? Just walked, or?
Oh, 100%.
So why do you think you didn't walk?
There was manipulation.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's, that has to be transparent. Like, there was manipulation. Not necessarily sexual manipulation, more financial manipulation. But there was definitely situations where it was like this push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. And it was I was almost like gaslighting myself. And I think we've spoken about this, maybe we have before, with like trust in yourself. And I think all my trust for myself had been eroded because I was just like gaslighting myself. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I think when you get to a point where you feel that like manipulation, or you feel like you're not yourself anymore, like of course your libido is going to go at that point.
How are you running your business at the same time? It sounds like you're rock bottom almost mentally.
Absolutely.
But you're still out there helping people. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing.
It was really emotionally draining on my life, like really emotionally draining, because I would get off calls and I would feel like shit because I felt incongruent. I was like, who the fuck am I to sit here and actually talk about intimacy and relationships when my relationship is shot to shit?
Do you think the universe gave you that though?
100%. I had to go through my own experience, and I never thought I would ever have low libido. I mean, some people it can happen quite often. For me, I just didn't think I would ever be that person. And I think that was part of my journey to where I am now. I think going through my own experience of low libido, in particular when I'd never experienced it before and even anything close to it, I think I needed to have that personal experience to be able to help other people with it from a place of actually personal experience.
So are you thinking, when you've got low libido there, are you thinking, fuck, this might be something I can't fix? And how do you fix it?
There's many ways you can fix it. I think my situation is actually more unique. I had a lot of clients that had low libido, and for a variety of other reasons. And majority, if not all of those that had low libido, it turned around. And that can often be from a multitude of different things. It's not often that it's my case, where it's manipulation or it's control issues or things like that. It's actually more common to be other things.
Do you think you'll ever go there again?
Go where?
Low libido town.
Okay. Yeah, look, I think, because my desire is to have kids, I think that could be a real thing where I go through this, like, not necessarily hormonal with, having a baby and all of that, but where your whole life changes for a period of time. There might be a period for me where I lose that. I'm just evolving. But I think when I come back and go through that process of being a mum and go through that whole experience, where I come back to my authenticity, I don't think it will be there, because at my authentic core, I find sex to be a really great way for connection, to express yourself, to explore, to be curious. So if I'm not having that, there's a part of me that's kind of missing. Because that's my way. That's when I really find my ability to be super confident and not be in my head and be in my body. And that's the case for a lot of women, is when you really find a place where you can be in your body when you're having sex, your confidence is like, it's a great feeling, because you're not overthinking. You're just being, as opposed to in your head and doing.
I'm the king of overthinking.
I know.
The king of it. Tell me, so you initially looked after females and you do a bit of couple work.
Yeah.
Why the push towards men?
Yeah. So I worked with women initially, and I never really closed the door on working with men necessarily, or couples. I was just leaning towards women initially, and I'm really glad I did. But then working with couples, I realized that there's always different perspectives, always different experiences, and it's always good to understand the whole dynamic. And I think when I first started out in this space and I overcame some really challenging things in my head around working in the space of sex, because it's a very taboo conversation, I started to open up with a couple of guys, like friends of friends, and told them that I was going to be stepping into this space. And they said, oh my God, we need you. Like, men need somebody like a woman to be able to talk to about their challenges with their relationship and intimacy, so that a woman can share from a woman's perspective. And my gut at that point told me that that's what I should be doing, but I let other stuff get in the way. Maybe not. Sometimes I like to be a trailblazer, and then other times I like other people to just maybe go first and then me see if it works. So I think there was I was holding back because I hadn't really seen it done before, and I thought, no, I can't. I'm already uncomfortable stepping into a space of talking about sex. For me then to be a female talking to men, I'm so worried of what their partners are going to think, and there was just too much. It was too much to unpack. So I went with the easier route, which was really, it is what it is, and it happened for a reason. But at my core, in my gut, I knew that men really needed it. And I thought this was a great opportunity to hold really safe space for men to be able to open up about intimacy and sex. I just neglected my gut, which is a really bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, because it seems odd, because you do seem a trailblazer and someone that doesn't give a fuck, and then I hear...
But I also care what...
is it to do with... Because if I'm a jealous partner and I'm a very jealous guy...
Are you?
Yeah. We won't talk about that. No, I am.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm not great at it. I'm getting better and better, and I love when people say, but whatever happens...
What star sign are you?
Pisces.
Okay.
The great star sign. Now, when people say to me, whatever happens will happen, I just don't like that. No, because if I'm... Okay, so I'm a jealous guy and my partner is a I love just saying sex therapist. I'm not going to go for intimacy coach.
Okay, sure.
Sex therapist. No. And she's working with women. You know what? As a guy, it's a little bit insecure and jealous. I'm probably okay with it. And then when she comes to me and says, I want to help men, help with their intimacy, their drive, their libido, their sex, I'm fucking starting to get jealous because here's my partner that for 8 or 10 hours a day is talking to other guys about their sex. Is that not an issue?
Oh, you mean my partner currently?
No, when you were looking to transfer businesses and you wanted to go across to men. Was it a factor in terms of a relationship you're in?
You know what? When you ask me these questions, no, he's not. It's so odd.
No. Was that a reason you didn't move your business across to helping men?
Not my current partner.
No,
potentially my previous partner.
Yeah, that wasn't in
No, I don't think so. Look.
Because I feel like, okay, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I feel like something's missing.
What?
I don't know. Something's missing in terms of...
like a piece to understand it.
I'm trying to articulate myself and say, I don't believe you that you just decided you wanted someone else to jump into the men's space. Was the main reason you didn't want to help men because you were saying...
I didn't back myself.
Yeah, why? I just don't...
Yeah,
that's something that doesn't click with me.
There's places that I have confidence and then there's other places. And I think at that point I wasn't confident. I think I was really trying to unpack all my shit around sex, which is like shame, and there was a lot that I had to really deal with. I had to go through some challenging realizations of like, how do I actually articulate this to my family? Like, how do I actually talk to my family that this is going to be the new direction of my career? So I think for me it was too much because that was like an additional overwhelming factor. And it was like, oh... You know, I'm doing a lot of work and I'm always evolving, but like, I don't know if I've got the capacity to go down that path right now.
So it was okay that you could help females and couples, but you couldn't help men.
And I was also really worried about men's partner, like a man's partner having issues with me working with their husband. In particular, if the challenge was, let's say, for example, a guy came to me and said, my partner doesn't want to have sex with me. And then there's me having a conversation with them. And clearly, I'm okay with having conversations around sex, and it would be perceived, like you said, that I was quite sexual in nature. And if the woman is not having sex with their partner for her own experience or reasons, then I just didn't want to be disliked by her.
That's very odd.
Why?
You don't know her.
I know, but I have a real thing about being disliked.
Where does that come from? Can we dig into that?
Yeah.
Because this woman you don't know.
No, I don't, but I don't want her not to like me or to misunderstand me. Maybe not so much as much now.
Do you think that she thinks that you guys are talking about their sex life and going, she does
disrespect, disrespectful towards her, which is what I do feel like I'm up against quite a bit. But I know deep down I'm not. But if I'm not talking directly to these people and they're forming their own opinion, I can understand why they would be uncomfortable. And even if I put myself in that position and my partner was going and speaking to someone, I would be like, oh, okay. Like, I get it because I would understand.
Are you okay with that? If your partner's talking to
I would want to do it.
That wants to, and he just wants to go by himself, he doesn't want to do couple therapy. He just wants to talk to another female about you guys, your intimacy and your sex and everything.
I often get guys coming to me that the partner maybe doesn't want to do it as a couple. So I think that hesitation is like, I don't want to have that conversation. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go do it. So it's already this kind of divide. But if I was in that position, no, because deep down what I really want ultimately is the best relationship and intimacy I can have. And if that's the vessel in which to do it and that's the way to do it, then if I'm triggered, that's my shit.
And what about, most of the men you see married or single?
Married.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't want their partner involved in it, or they just want to...
No, they want their partner involved.
But you only really talk to them.
No, I'm happy to talk to both.
Do many come just by themselves?
Yeah.
Married? What are their issues?
Look, the biggest challenge is rejection. Like, I feel like I keep instigating intimacy with my partner, and I'm at the point now where I'm getting rejected. I don't know what to do. I want more intimacy. I want to have that sexual connection with my partner, and I don't know how to do it because it's clearly not working. If anything, she's pulling away more. So it's like, I don't understand how to go about this situation. And it's like, unfortunately, I get a lot of clients come to me when they're at the point of there's no other option, which I say is like, I suppose it's the same with like couples therapy. Yes, okay, we can definitely do something. But if you come to improve your dynamic of your relationship, or when you start to see there might be an opportunity for growth, that's absolutely a great time to come, not when there's like a really big problem that seems to be taking up your whole relationship.